zone for a while. Join Jason and Mike in true Marvelite style as they wax poetic like true believers.
Excelsior!
In the MarvelSphere.
Spidey sense tingling.
The MarvelSphere.
It's clobberin' time.
We're in the MarvelSphere. In the MarvelSphere.
Avengers assemble.
The MarvelSphere.
Hey, Bob.
It's time for MarvelSphere.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of MarvelSphere, brought to you by NeverEndingRadicalDude.com. A lot has happened in the MarvelSphere lately, mainly to do with Spider-Man. We're going to get into that. I'm your host, Jason Furie, joined by Mike McG as the co-host extraordinaire. And today we're joined by a very special guest. Right, Mike?
Yes. Another Spidey fan.
I feel very special, thank you.
Mr. Mark Espinosa.
Welcome.
Twip, twip. See, I got to do the twip, twip this time.
Okay, well, let's jump right in. A lot has happened. Spider-Man news. So the big news is Spider-Man has joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so he's able to appear in all these Avenger movies. And in turn, the Marvel characters can now show up in Spider-Man movies. But the deal is, Sony still gets the money for the Spider-Man single solo movies, and Marvel still gets the money for the Marvel movies.
It's fascinating. It's interesting that the deal that they had together, it's like no money was exchanged. It was all handshakes.
$0.
That is nuts.
Yeah, that's like playground rules. They're just like, it's pretty cool.
I mean, they have to, they got to do what they got to do. I mean, everyone's been wanting this to happen ever since the Sony leaks kind of made the idea possible. People have been clamoring at the bit for the, potential of this.
Who thought the Sony leaks would lead to something so positive?
Well, I had my hopes.
Mike McG,
Yes.
my friend, you are a notorious Spider-Man fan. What do you think of this whole Spidey business, him swinging into the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I have been hoping for this day ever since the Raimi movies, when he started name dropping The Thing and Doctor Strange and everything like that, hinting towards the fact that there are other characters out there. I've been kind of waiting for this for a long time. And yeah, it was kind of realized with the shared Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Avengers. But yeah, you need Spider-Man there. He's a flagship hero for that brand. And it always has felt kind of weird having him and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four off doing their own stuff. When, even though I like my Spidey as Lone Wolf Spidey, it's fun to have him take part in bigger adventures and mingle with some of the other heroes. He's kind of a student to Iron Man and hero worships Captain America. So I think this is a great move. There's no downside for either company. And I think Sony really could use, the boost a little bit, given the fact that not only with the leaks and so forth, but also, even though there's some of us out there, like me and Mark, who enjoyed this latest Spider franchise with Andrew Garfield, it didn't perform as well as they were kind of hoping it would. So maybe this is something to get Spider-Man's brand name back up into platinum territory.
Yeah, they wanted $1 billion for Amazing Spider-Man 2, I remember hearing, and it only made hundreds of millions of dollars.
What a waste.
Whoa, we got to rethink this franchise. It's just a multi-million-dollar franchise right now. They need to shoot for the sky. Anybody that reads comics or is a super dork, I think the hope is that all of these franchises join up. I do think that it's a good marriage, Avengers and Spider-Man. I think X-Men can still stand on its own, especially with their momentum going on. It's such a big universe over there with X-Men that I'm fine that's not in there yet. But Spider-Man Avengers, that's cool.
Maybe.
What do you think, Mark?
I don't know. I mean, I'm with Mike. I've always wanted to see Peter Parker Spider-Man somehow incorporated into this new Marvel Cinematic Universe. Have him swinging around, grabbing a car during like the invasion in New York City. But I kind of have this feeling now, after like a week of pondering on it, that I think the weight of Spider-Man is so heavy that it might kind of throw what Marvel's been building kind of off kilter a little bit. I mean, we're already seeing the effects of all the movies getting pushed around. So I don't know. I always want Spider-Man to be there, but I don't know now if his presence being there is going to be good or bad. I don't know. I'm nervous.
Yeah, it's
feel
like kind of inviting that weird kid to your birthday. Like, you kind of like him, but everyone else is a little weary, and he just kind of ruffles the feathers a little bit.
He might get super drunk and have a good time, or he might end up crying and peeing into your cactus in the corner of the room.
It could get dark.
Like everyone's going to be aware of the gimmick of it, as opposed to like, oh, they're trying to tell a story with Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like there's like this really heartfelt story hypothetically in Civil War, where like it's Tony Stark versus Iron Man, and then we're kind of like really seeing them struggle with like their inner demons, and then all of a sudden Peter Parker makes a cameo, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, Peter Parker! Like everyone forgets everything that's been happening.
Do you guys think it's going to be Peter Parker? Or could it be Miles Morales from the Ultimate Universe? Are they going to go for diversity or familiarity? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I think Marvel will get a lot of points if they went the Miles Morales route. Just have like a African Americans Peter Parker swinging around. I think it would really be great to see, but I think having a universe with Captain America, Tony Stark, the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, like for it not to be Peter Parker is really hard not to do.
Right. It's just if they're willing to, I mean, they're rebooting the Spider Universe again. I mean, think about the shortness between the Sam Raimi ones and then the Mark Webb and now this. They're doing it again.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that's really that's depending on their approach to the character this time around. Like at this point, everyone knows the story by heart now. I mean, bitten by spider, uncle murdered, great power, great responsibility. We've seen it done.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. We've seen it done over and over in movie, TVs, video games even. So it's just like, at this point, just hit the ground running with the character. You mentioned,
I mean, it would be cool to have something going down and have have Spider-Man just swing in and be like, all right, what's going on? And they're like, oh, who's this guy? And that's it. Like, oh, why now he's in.
I'd be down with that. So what did you guys think of the Raimi and more specifically the Amazing Spider-Man Mark Webb? They only got 2 movies out of that deal. Is that a misstep, or do you think they're doing the right thing here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I kind of feel like Spider-Man hasn't really been done right yet. Mm-hmm. Personally, I felt like Mark Webb was a little closer in terms of like Spider-Man's banter, and like it was a lot darker, which wasn't necessarily a good thing, but. It's interesting to think that a Spider-Man movie doesn't work on its own, that now you have to like bring him into the Marvel Universe for him to work.
I think the biggest misstep with especially the latest franchise, because the Raimi movies were perfectly fine with just standing on their own. They didn't really, I mean, they'd drop a reference here and there, but there was really, at that point in time, there was no goal to have a shared universe. With the Amazing Spider-Man stuff, especially after Avengers and things like that, everyone was doing it. X-Men's expanding its universe to incorporate Fantastic Four. The Amazing Spider-Man movies did it.
Gambit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you hear now? Like Deadpool is going to have Colossus. Xavier is going to be in the Wolverine movie.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, they got plenty of characters to play with X-Men. I'm not worried about X-Men really.
No,
but there was kind of after Avengers, there was this kind of like emphasis on build your worlds as quick as you can.
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, we want to do Sinister Six, maybe a Black Cat movie, maybe, or whatever type of movie, or let's follow. I think there was talk about an Aunt May prequel, or there were rumors about it. Or something. I'm just like, okay, awesome. You can go crazy with your ideas, but I don't know how much of that is honestly going to stick.
Yeah, I think the refocus here and putting it into a universe that already works, they're probably like, you know what, all these movies, no matter what they are, like Guardians of the Galaxy showed us, they're going to make bank because it's part of this shared universe. It's just gold. So why not throw Spider-Man into the mix now? I think it's a pretty great idea. I'm notorious for loving the Raimi movies. Those are like almost perfect Spider-Man movies to me. And then Mark Webb, I enjoyed them, but I'm just not. I wasn't a big fan of them, and I didn't like what you said. They're just going off in so many like Sinister Six movies, Venom, blah blah blah. I just wasn't interested in any of that stuff. It seemed so like they were struggling to find a place for Spider-Man.
Good grief! It's the negative zone.
It was a blatant attempt to catch up to what Marvel Studios is doing, and that's kind of what I feel DC is doing. I mean, they're coming out with some interesting stuff, but they're like announcing, Justice League will be 2 movies and things like that. And
they should have just made Spider-Man 4 and just recast Spider-Man after the Raimi stuff went down. They should have just kept going with it and just, mix it up like what they did with X-Men. X-Men's been on the same track, but has creatively rebooted itself, just using different, like time travel, stuff like that. My question is, At what point does everybody move out of New York?
I've always felt that way.
Because the comics, it's blatant. It's like, okay, don't live in New York. It's a battleground, and it's just it's crazy. But there's always these like people in the background drinking coffee and just walking around. Like, get the hell out of there.
Well, it's where all the action is, man. Like, there's a world where like people are flying around and gods are crashing into the the streets. Like, wouldn't you want to kind of be part of it?
No.
Or would you be like, I don't want anything to do with this. I'm moving to Nebraska.
And technically,
I would move to Nebraska, probably.
Oh,
It would be cool. Like, the inner nerd in me would be cool, but if we're talking about like a serious threat here, I'm out. Because that's crazy. That's crazy talk. Unless I can, like, I'll try and get a power.
See, my luck is I would get hit with the Tarragon Mist, and my power would be like the ability to make paper like thinner.
If my ability would be to tolerate a crazy battleground city, New York, and I could dodge rubble without thinking about it, I'd be called Rubble Dodger.
Oh, the old RD.
Old RD Rubble Dodgers in the house. You can't hurt them with rubble.
That's funny.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Peter Parker, though. So
Okay, well, yeah, we want Peter Parker. We want Miles Morales. I guess we want Peter Parker.
I thought it would have been cool to have an older Peter Parker.
Yes.
Like, have him be like in his 30s, have him be married to Mary Jane, but then like have hinting about something happened with like the Great Web, and now there's like another Spider-Man, and then you introduce a younger Miles Morales, and you have Peter Parker training him.
Interesting. Now, we did get an older Spider-Man in the form of Andrew Garfield, 30 years old.
Who somehow just graduated high school in the second movie.
Right. So we got an older Spider-Man, but they made him look like a younger Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, though. That would just help with the origin story, too. Just, he's Spider-Man, let's do this. Another repercussion from this whole thing was the Phase 3 schedule, which got laid out a few months ago, including movies all the way through 2019, capping off with the Avengers Infinity War. So Spider-Man's kind of ruffled the feathers of this whole plan that they just announced.
Yeah.
So we got a new schedule we got to go for. So I guess we should first talk about Captain America Civil War. In the comic, Spider-Man's a big character, like Mark was saying. Is this a good way to introduce Spider-Man?
Well, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what the story of Civil War is. I mean, no one knows why the Civil War story is going to happen because there aren't really mutants and superpowered people running around. There's like 12 people. Oh, Inhumans, excuse me, yeah.
There are Inhumans in S.H.I.E.L.D. at the moment.
Yeah, but they're not like such a threat that like the government has to create some kind of like registration program.
Right. Maybe this Avengers movie capping off Phase 2 with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, they're going to be causing some trouble, it looks like.
Yeah.
Doing some damage, altering some realities.
Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting if something happens like, because in S.H.I.E.L.D. you're getting a hint that the Tarragon Mist are being released. Are starting to be like, out there.
Nerd alert.
Like all of a sudden, but if you find out that like the MCU is now being populated by superhuman beings at like a very exponential rate, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. And then I want to produce a movie called Nebraska.
Where everyone just moves to Nebraska.
Where everyone but superheroes moves to Nebraska. So Mike,
Mike,
do you want to introduce Spider-Man in a current standing movie, cameo, or do you want him to just come swinging in his own solo film?
I mean, they have pretty much said that like, oh, he's gonna be teased in a film prior to his own solo film,
like that Hawkeye tease in Thor. That was juicy.
Yeah, something like that. But like, I don't know, because he is in the comics, he is an important part of that storyline, but I can't see them replicating that as they're introducing the character.
Yeah, that's a comic book. Punisher's running around in that story arc too, and like he's nowhere to be seen, even though Marvel has the rights and all that jazz. So
well, I mean, also in the fact that like not just for the sake of like spoiler sense tingling, his secret identity is revealed in that story arc to the world, and then
which they can't do,
obviously. But also in the grand scheme, he's like caught in tug of war between Cap and Iron Man for most of the event. Like he doesn't know which side really is the right side, and finally chooses a side. And that might be a little much with regards to we're just meeting this new Spider-Man for the first time. So maybe teasing him at the end of it, maybe being like, I don't know, whatever happens, Fallout. If it follows the same way that it does in the comics, like Stark's like, well, time for a new Avengers team, and then you see like a webbed glove or something like that come into frame, or the spider eyes like light up out of like the darkness or something. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, they need to get the Spider-Man with 8 arms kind of thing going in, or 6 arms or whatever it was. They need to get like mutated and then
Man Spider.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. Well, the Spider-Man solo movie has been slated for July 28th, 2017. So it's official. He's getting his own solo movie again within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We talked about Civil War. The only other movies Marvel's putting out in this universe is Doctor Strange in November 2016 and the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy 2017. I'm not sure if Spider-Man's got any business being in either of those movies.
Well, Thor and Black Panther were originally going to be in 2017, right?
Yeah, those got shifted around. Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I mean,
Thor 3 is going to be directly after Spider-Man in November instead of July. So Spider-Man kind of took Thor's spot in the whole plan.
I mean, I think he needs to make the appearance in Civil War, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think seeing him in Doctor Strange makes sense because I think Strange needs to kind of be developed on his own.
Yeah, you don't want to introduce Strange and Spider-Man in the same movie. That'd be weird.
I think Civil War is like the perfect spot because based on who's coming back for that, these are people who have already been established. You got Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow. I think Falcon and War Machine. They've been established already in the other movies. So introducing one more guy into the fold for that film won't be that big a deal. But with Doctor Strange, he's got to develop his own mythos first and foremost. He can't be having Spider-Man there being like, I'm your magical sidekick for this adventure.
Yeah, kind of like what they did with, what was it? Thor, the first Thor movie. That was kind of a Thor movie first, a tie-in second, and they tied it in at the end. I think that's what they need to do. They need to really kind of get him in there first. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a scene where like Tony Stark convinces Spider-Man to unmask at a press conference, and then like him having his like second thoughts, and Tony Stark being like, no, we need to do this, and then Captain America coming in and being like, the boy said no, kind of thing. Having them fight over. Because I mean, I feel like that would be enough to introduce him, and then he wouldn't really need to do anything until his movie.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm bummed. My idea of him being the older Spider-Man, just watching TV, watching New York getting destroyed, and then just swinging back into action after hanging up the mask with Mary Jane for a while. That's kind of what I wanted. That was my dream entry. Is just whether it was Tobey Maguire or a new person, just an older one kind of coming in. But it sounds like they're going to go with a younger teenage
back
Spider-Man.
in high school.
Which is cool. He'll work in an ensemble a lot better as a young, quippy Spider-Man, I think.
And really, do you want to revisit old Mary Jane played by Kirsten Dunst? No.
Sure. Girl next door, man. I'm into
old lady next door at this point.
Lady.
I'm into it. Guys, I'm into it.
All right.
Okay, so after Spider-Man, hopefully the solo movie goes well. There's no name for it yet. Let's just call it Spider-Man again. Back in the swing of things. It's so stupid. Thor 3 will come out in 2017 in November, and then we're going to come to the nerd explosion Avengers Infinity Part 1 in May of 2018, and I will bet my neighbor's donkey that he's going to show up in that.
Oh, he's gotta. Totally.
Yeah, that's going to be a clash of the Titans, I think. Infinity War.
I think everyone's showing up in that one.
Well, by everyone, do you mean the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. guys, the Defenders, Daredevil? I mean, Marvel's got this big world they're building. I say get a portal, slam Peggy Carter into the mix.
I'm saying
just mix it all up.
Definitely all the movie folk, definitely. And I wouldn't be surprised if they introduced even more heroes kind of like as side character, because it's a war. It's Infinity War. There's going to be lots of soldiers, a.k.a. lots of superheroes and villains just punching each other.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's not just Spider-Man that can be shared. It's all the Spider-Man characters can be shared. So you can throw in J.J. Jameson or something screaming like, my city's being blown up, and then like have...
still J.K. Simmons.
Oh, yeah. He's like the one consistent throughout all the universes. It's always J.J. Simmons.
Nice.
J.K.?
I said J.J.
JJ.
It's J.J. Jameson played by J.K. Simmons.
Right. Jesus. I think there's the mix-up.
Okay.
OMG.
J.K. Simmons. Just kidding. Simmons.
ROFL.
But now you brought up an interesting point. Now, is that the Daredevil, like, and Iron Fist and Luke Cage, are they going to be, like, in the Netflix shows and then that's it, never being in the movies or anything? Or
Well, I'm assuming it's New York, right? Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like
Yeah.
again, get out of New York first of all, unless you've got the Rebel powers that I have, and
RD.
Robert Downey Rebel Jr. I don't know. So yeah, we're gonna have the Defenders running around, the Agents of Shield running all over the globe, and the Avengers, and now Spider-Man, and it's just gonna get crazy town, which is kind of what I like because that's what the comic book. Open up any like shared universe comic right now, it's nuts, it's bananas. They're all just bouncing off each other. But at what point does it become too much? Right now, everyone's like it can't be enough. That's why they're throwing Spider-Man in the mix. But I'm a little worried that it could get a little spread thin, a little bogged down here.
Property that, well, I guess Ant-Man is in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
And then, but that's it. And then Guardians are in the other side of space. Yeah, I mean, all their franchises right now take place in New York City.
It's true. And that's now shared. Now, I think just putting Spider-Man into there changes everything because now every time you have an Avengers movie or a show set in New York, you have to at least acknowledge it, right?
Well, I mean, like, that's the comic books. Like, you have the X-Men fighting some kind of alien invasion in New York City, and you're like, well, where's the Fantastic Four? Where's the Avengers? You know, oh, they're off-world. Oh, they got something else going on.
Yeah, well,
you know?
We got to get more off-world stuff. We got to get Guardians kicking a little bit more and Inhumans out the door. So that actually brings me to Avengers Infinity is going to be 2 parts. In between the 2 parts, we're going to have Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and the Inhumans, which are all going to be brand new for audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That don't read comics, which is where all this money's coming from, people that don't read comics. So those 3 movies, this is going to be crazy. I hope, Black Panther and Captain Marvel, where are they going to be?
Well, you're talking about introducing new characters while there's big events going on throughout the galaxy. The thing is with like these Marvel Cinematic movies is that the timeline, with regards to releases is pretty solid, but the timeline story-wise is pretty flexible. Like you have, Iron Man was kind of the first thing, technically movie release-wise.
Hulk.
But then you have Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2 actually kind of sort of taking place at the same time, with Thor kind of sort of taking place a little bit after, and so forth. And Captain America, that's first Avengers 90% prequel, last 5 minutes incorporating. You don't really know what time Steve Rogers really wakes up in the 21st century. Is it when Nick Fury's talking to Tony Stark for the first time or whatever?
Yeah.
Is it when they find Thor's hammer? So, with regards to that, as long as kind of they got the story consistent timeline-wise in their minds, they can say like, oh, well, Black Panther's adventures taking place maybe 3 weeks before Infinity War.
True.
Or it's happening earlier.
Yeah, or Captain Marvel. Yeah, or it happens even before anything having to do with Phase 1. Like, this is Black Panther's, beginnings. He's been operating from the very beginning. You just haven't seen him.
But it will be a lot. It's a lot going on in this one little universe. It's going to be a lot of tap dancing.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I like what you're thinking, and I'm glad we're recording this.
Isn't that the whole point, buddy?
It is the point. I do think that while that's a great idea, like my bring back Tobey Maguire idea, I don't think they're going to do that though. I think they're going to really try and get this momentum going forward, and I think it's going to be a pretty big cluster mess here, and I think they're going to move forward with it and just try, hopefully not grasping at straws too much, to just incorporate it all with this forward momentum.
Yeah.
Because ideally, I want like X-Men movies and Spider-Man movies set like in the 80s and before 60s, 70s, 80s. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think the thing is we all are excited to see Spider-Man, but I hope that they're able to just kind of restrain themselves a little bit, not saturate the market with Spider-Man cameos and plugs and movies and everything like that.
Juice boxes and gummy snacks and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, I want the Doctor Strange movie to be about Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't need Spider-Man to be appearing in every little thing just because, we're excited to have him now in the universe.
Right.
Well, that's a good point. And I do think Marvel's pretty aware of that, because think back at everything that's come out so far. We've been saying that before, right? Even with the characters we've got, I've always been worried about a Marvel movie being a tie-in first and a movie second.
Yes, true.
So like what I was saying, Thor was really, it was nice because it was a Thor movie first and then a tie-in second.
Yeah,
Where-
but then you have cool things like Winter Soldier, where Black Widow is like just in the movie because she would be.
Mhm.
You know, it
Yeah.
made sense.
It made sense. So hopefully Marvel will get to a point where they can write a script and say, all right, what character makes sense for this script, and then just have them kind of as, just there in their tool belt.
Whoa, buddy! Talk about your own tools.
Well, I think the point is, at the end of the day, Spider-Man is something we all love, and we're all gonna watch whatever Marvel decides to do with him. And he's had 5 movies thus far, and I've enjoyed them all for various reasons. I've liked some more than others, but the point is, it's Spider-Man. He's cool. He's awesome. He's arguably one of the coolest Marvel characters. So get him in there. Let's see what they can do.
He's the one character that everyone felt was missing from the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
said,
I
I don't feel like the X-Men are missing from it. I think they're doing.
no, I think they can exist on their own. I don't need to
They're
see them.
rocking because they're just cooler than everything.
What about Fantastic Four?
That's a different podcast, my friend.
Oh,
You jumping the gun.
sorry guys.
You jumped the James Gunn on that one.
That's what I do.
But yeah, so guys, excited but skeptical. That's what it sounds like.
Like we didn't have a Spider-Man in the Marvel universe, so then we got movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, we got Ant-Man, we got Doctor Strange, we got Black Panther.
We got
But
risks.
then and as soon as they bring Spider-Man in, everything gets like pushed back. So I don't know. I hope that Marvel still takes the risk to focus on not so developed characters in their universe before just depending heavily on the ones that are already established. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's where I'm
Flesh
at.
Flesh it
Mike
out. a little
McGee,
more.
final thoughts?
Well, I was saying flesh it out a little bit more. You've got all these untapped characters that are just looking for the proper story to represent them. Spider-Man's had plenty of opportunities. It'll be fun to see him again, but just gotta be gentle with him. Gotta figure out the proper placement and role that he has to play in the grand scheme of this. Because this isn't like the comics where it's just crazy and you accept it. It just happens. This is a movie.
A little more
property.
delicate.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you two guys. I'm excited about it. I think it's a bold move by Sony and Marvel, and it shows that they can shake hands and help each other out. So hopefully that sets a tone for other franchises and that want to do this.
Also, that they're listening to people. Like people have been screaming for this, and they were like, "All right, well, let's do it. People want it."
It's been the biggest nerd news on the internet. It's definitely breaking the internet more than that big wet butt I saw on the cover or something. There's a big
It
wet.
took me a second to figure out what you were talking about.
People were
Yeah,
talking
I
about
was
a
like,
big
what?
wet butt for a few days, and now this Spider-Man news is out, and
And
that's
more
it.
big wet butt talk.
Yeah, that's gone. No more. I'm glad for that.
Are you though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it for now. Until we get more news on the Spider-Man, we need a title. We need casting announcements. We need trailers. We want to see what movies he's going to be in. Until then, stay tuned to neverendingradicaldude.com where you can bet the unmade Aunt May movie. We're going to cover it.
Oh man, we should write a review for the hypothetical Aunt May movie.
If by we, you mean you, yes.
Yes.
Fine. Damn it.
Thanks for volunteering, Mark.
Oh damn it.
And Mike, I'd like to thank you for doing the art for it.
Oh,
Sucker.
lady art.
Oh, fiddlesticks.
Oh dearie.
Until next time, I'm Jason Furie with co-host Mike McGee
Face
with a
front.
special baby Jesus guest, Mark Espinosa.
Oh.
I don't know why I said that.
I like it.
There was no reason for it. Can someone just yell a random Marvel thing to get that out of people's brains?
Excelsior.